Hello everyone, in this video we will learn about active and passive voice. An action of a subject in relation to an object is expressed in two ways. These two ways of expressing action of a subject are known as voices, which are active voice and passive voice. Look at these two sentences. Sentence 1, Mayank plays football. Sentence 2, football is played by Mayank. These two sentences mean the same, but they are different in form, and there is a slight difference of emphasis also. In sentence 1, the verb is plays. Mayank is the subject of the verb plays. He also performs the action of playing. When the subject of a verb also performs the action named in the verb is said to be in the active voice. In sentence 2, the verb is played. Is played. Football is the subject of the verb is played. But football does not perform the action of playing. In fact, it receives the action of playing. Then, when the subject of a verb receives the action named in the verb is said to be in the passive voice. Sentence 1 begins with Mayank. The emphasis is on Mayank. In second sentence, the emphasis on football. It is more natural to use the active voice. Besides, sentences written in the active voice are shorter and more elegant. But there are some situations in which we need to use the passive voice. That is, first, when we do not know who performed the action, like here in first sentence, my pocket was picked, but by whom, that is not known. Then, second, the action is more important than who performed it. Like in second sentence, all night flights were cancelled, but who cancelled them? And it is also not important to know that who cancelled them, but the action is more important than knowing who did that or by whom that action was done. Third, when we want to put emphasis on the person or thing that receives the action, like in third sentence, 5 agreements were signed. Here the emphasis is on agreements. Passive voice is used if it is not known who performed the action, if the action is more important than who performed it, and if the emphasis is on the person or thing that receives the action. There are certain rules that are to be followed to change active voice to passive voice. For example, see the first sentence. Before changing active into passive voice, we need to see or focus on three things. First, subject, which is Rina in this sentence. Then verb, which is bakes in this sentence, and then cake, which is then object, which is cake in this sentence. When we change active into passive voice, first thing that we do is to interchange the subject and object. That has been done here. In second sentence, which is written in passive voice, this is written in passive voice, and first sentence is written in active voice. So in Second sentence, when it was changed into passive voice, this subject took the place of object and object took the place of subject. Now here in active voice, subject was Rina, that became object, that came in place of object here. In first sentence, cake was the object that came here in place of the subject. Second point that is mandatory to be followed in passive form or in passive voice, that is the use of word by that we do before the object in passive voice. Third very important thing is that we always use past participle or third form of the verb in passive forms that we have used here. Then the most important point is using the helping verb. But the use of helping verb depends on that in which tense our active voice is written. Because the active voice here is written in simple present tense, that is why we used the helping verb is. Had it been written in present perfect tense, then the helping verb that would have been used here would be has been baked. So how we change and how different auxiliary verbs are used in passive forms, that depend on the nature of the sentence which is written in active voice, like if it is written in simple present tense or in simple past tense or in simple future tense. So in different tenses, when they are changed into passive voice, different auxiliary verbs are used. So let's see how. Here are a few examples given in simple present tense. The auxiliary verbs which are used while forming passive voices in simple present tense are is, am, and are. Is we use when our subject is singular, am we use when our subject is I, and are we use when we have plural subject. Now let's see how different sentences are changed in passive voices in simple present tense. First, he writes a letter. Here, he is subject, verb is writes here, and a letter is object. Now, the rules that we just discussed are to be followed here to change this sentence in passive voice. See, first interchange of subject and object. Here it got changed, like here object was letter and it became subject here. Here subject was his, he, that became object in passive voice. Then second rule was to use the word by before object in passive voice, that we already have done. By we have used here. And then we needed to focus on verb. Verb is writes here, that got changed in its third form. Like in passive voices we always use third form of the verb, so it is written here. Fine. Now the last and the most important point is to use auxiliary verb that depends first on the tense of the active voice, second on the subject of the sentence. So here the subject is a letter, that means singular, so we will choose the auxiliary verb is here, so we have used is here. So this is how active voices are changed into passive voices. There are some more examples are given also. that also have been changed by using this same sentence, same rules that we just have discussed. Let's read them. He does not write a letter. Got changed. A letter is not written by him. Then interrogative sentence. Does he write a letter? Will be changed like, is a letter written by him? Then simple, they sell books. That will be changed in passive voice as books are sold by them. Next, she helps me. The passive voice of this is I am helped by her. Now let's see how sentences or active voices written in present continuous tense um, are changed in passive voices. Now, a very important thing is to be kept in mind is that auxiliary verb that we use in active voices in present progressive tense are differently changed in passive voices, like auxiliary verbs which are used while changing sentences which are written in present progressive tense or present continuous tense are are is being, are being, am being. Is being we use when our subject is singular, are being we use when our subject is plural, am being we use when our subject is I in passive voices. See the examples of the same. She is singing a song. She is subject here, is singing is verb here, a song is object here. That is changed in passive voice. A song that was object here has become the subject of passive voice. Then the her that was and her became the object here in passive voice that was subject in active voice. Then the use of word by we have done here. Then let's see, verb was singing there. The third form of the verb sing would be sung, so that we have used here. And before that, like because our subject is singular, a song, we use the auxiliary verb is being. Is being is the helping verb that will be used with singular subjects in present progressive tense in passive forms or passive voices. It shows the continuity in passive sentences. Now let's see some more examples of so. She is not singing a song will be changed as a song is not being sung by her. Next, is she singing a song will be changed as is a song being sung by her. Next, they are eating apples will be changed as apples are being eaten by them. Next, you are disturbing me will be changed as I am being disturbed by you. Now next is present perfect tense. Now in present perfect tense, the auxiliary verbs will be used are, has been or have been. Has been we will use with singular subjects in passive voice, and have been we will use with plural subjects in passive voice. Let's see first example. He has completed the work. He is subject here. Has completed is verb here. The work is object here. First rule that we follow while changing active into passive voice is to change or the place of subject and object. The interchange of subject and object. So in active voice, he is the subject that became object in passive voice. In active voice, in first example, work is the object that became the subject in passive voice. Then the use of word by, then third form of the verb was completed here. So third form of the verb completed, completed, it would be completed only. So we used completed here. And the last rule is to use the helping verb that depends on the tense of the sentence of active voice and the subject of it. So according to the tense, we are supposed to use has been or have been, and because our subject is singular, so we will use has been here. Clear? So this is how we will change the other sentences also in passive voices in present perfect tense. Let me read the other sentences for you all based on the same rules that we have revised in the beginning of the video. He has not completed the work. The work has not been completed by him. He has completed. Has he completed the work? Has the work been completed by him? She has written 5 poems. 5 poems have been written by her. I have made some cakes. Some cakes have been made by me. Now let's discuss simple past tense, that how active voices which are written in simple past tense are changed in passive voices. Let me clarify one thing, that in the beginning of the video I shared with you the rules or the steps that we follow to change active voice into passive voice. Among them, three rules always remain same while changing active voice into passive voice in any tense, which is first, interchange of subject and object. Second, the use of word by before object in passive voice. Third, the third form of the verb is used in passive voice. But we need to be very careful while using the auxiliary verb, because in all the different tenses the auxiliary verbs are used, the different auxiliary verbs are used. Okay, so in simple past tense the auxiliary verbs which are used are was or were. Was we use with singular subjects and were we use with plural subjects. First example is he bought a car. He subject, bought verb, a car is object. First rule, interchange of subject and object. A car that was object here has become subject in passive voice. Then he that was subject here has become object in passive voice. Then the use of word by, and then third form of the verb, it is third form of the verb by. By, bought. So third form of the verb by is bought only. And then in the end, the use of auxiliary verb, because here our subject is singular, so we will use the verb was. Okay. Now the other examples also have been formed using the same rules that we have discussed. Let me read the other examples. He did not buy a car. This is a negative sentence. It is changed as a car was not bought by him. Interrogative sentence. Did he buy a car? Will be changed as was a car bought by him? Next sentence. She decorated the walls. Will be changed in passive voice as the walls were decorated by her. The last example, I helped them, will be changed as they were helped by me. Now let's discuss how active voices are changed in passive voices in past progressive or past continuous tense. The very and the most important thing is to see that which are the helping verbs which are used in this are used in changing this tense, that is past progressive tense, and the helping verbs which are used in changing active voices into passive voice in this tense are was being and were being. Was being we will use with singular subject, were being we will use with plural subject. First example, she was washing a shirt. She subject, was washing verb, a shirt object. So here subject was she, that became object of passive voice. Object was a shirt, that became subject in passive voice. Then the use of word by, then verb is washing here, but we always use third form of the verb, so it is washed here. Then the helping verb, because our subject is singular here, a shirt, that is why we will use helping verb was being here. Clear? Now the other sentences. She was, this is in negative sentence, she was not washing a shirt, will be changed as a shirt was not being washed by her. Third and interrogative sentence is was she washing a shirt, will be changed as was a shirt being washed by her. The next sentence, boys were singing songs. The passive voice of it is songs were being sung by boys. Now the next tense is past perfect tense. Again, I would say that the most important thing that is to be noticed here is that which is the auxiliary verb that we use while changing active voice into passive voice, that is had been here. So let's see. Here we will not get confused because there is a single um, helping verb that is to be used while changing active into passive voice. So first example, they had won the game, subject, verb, object. That got changed here. They, that was subject, became the object of passive voice. The game, that was object, became subject of passive voice. The use of word by before the object. Won was already in third form, that will be used as it is. Won is third form already of the verb, so it will be used as it is. And then the auxiliary verb, there is no choice to use the any other auxiliary verb here. So yes, simply in past perfect tense we will use had been in passive voices. The other examples also have been formed using the same rules. Let me read all other examples. They had, this is a negative sentence of active voice. They had not won the game, will be changed as the game had not been won by them. Interrogative sentence, had they won the game, will be changed as had the game been won by them. Last example, he had collected coins will be changed as coins had been collected by him. Now let's discuss future simple tense. The helping verb that is used in changing active voices into passive voices in simple future tenses will be. So here also we will not get confused because a single helping verb is being used here. So let's read the examples. She will write a poem. She subject will write verb, a poem is object. Subject she has become her in passive voice, that has become the object there. A poem is object here, that has become the subject in passive voice. The use of word by, the verb was right there, that became written, the third form of the verb that is used in all the passive voices of all the tenses. And then auxiliary verb, that is will be. Using the same rules, the other sentences also have been formed and changed in passive voices from active voices. Let me read them all. She will, this is interrogative sentence. She will not write a poem will be changed as a poem will not be written by her. Next sentence is interrogative. Will she write a poem will be changed as will a poem be written by her. Next sentence, you will receive the letter will be changed as the letter will be received by you. Last example, they will arrange the money will be changed as the money will be arranged by them. Now let's see how active voices are changed in passive voices in future perfect tense. First of all, we need to keep this in our mind that the auxiliary verb that will be used while changing active voice in passive voice in simple no, in future perfect tense is will have been. So let's read the examples. He will have received the letter. He, subject, will have received verb. The letter is object. The subject he in active voice has become object in passive voice him. The object the letter in active voice has become the object the letter in passive voice as active voice has become the subject of passive voice the letter. Then the use of word by, received was already used in active voice, that is already the third form of the verb. And so the third form of the verb received. And then the most important thing, to use the helping verb, that we have no other choice to use. So the helping verb will have been has been used here. Let me read the other examples based on the same rules. This is negative sentence. He will not have received a letter will be changed as the letter will not have been received by him. Next, interrogative sentence, will he have received the letter will be changed as will the letter have been received by him. Note this very important thing, the sentences of following tenses can't be changed to passive form or passive voices. First, present perfect continuous tense or perfect present progressive tense. Second, present past perfect continuous tense or past progressive tense. Third, future perfect continuous tense or future progressive tense. Fourth, future continuous tense or future progressive tense. Fifth, the sentences which are having intransitive verbs. They sentences written in these tenses are not having their passive form or passive voices. I hope you have enjoyed and learnt a lot about active and passive voices through this video. Thank you.